I am here at GenCon 2012 with Mike Pandorf, the new Melee champion here at this event. I think there was a 66 or 67 players playing. Quite a feat. Congratulations, Mike. What kind of deck did you bring, and why did you bring it?
I bought a Baratheon Holy Rush deck because I thought Holy was really strong. They've gotten a lot of really great cards here in the past couple cycles. And it was just one of those things where I knew Power Rush was going to be the way to go this year. Control was not going to stand much of a chance in the Melee. So I've been working on it and actually testing it with my friend John. And he and I have been working on it now for a couple months. Just tweaking it, card here, card there, but I just felt like it gave me the strongest rush potential while still having answers to most of what I expected in the environment.
So how did you feel about Red Queen's Faithful? Was it in the deck? Was it a player?
It wasn't, actually.
Nice.
And I thought about it, but then I thought if I was going to put Red Queen's Faithful in, I would either need to put in more uniques to reduce the cost, or I would need to go with armies and kind of throw in an army sub-theme. And, he and I talked about it, and we kind of looked at it, and it just didn't really make sense for the deck.
It's a bit too high on the curve, huh?
Well, it's a little too high on the gold curve. It's a great character, but it's not necessarily a character that's going to help you win the game.
True.
And in the end, I think in Melee, especially with how the environment is right now, what you're looking for is ways to win the game.
Sure. So let's talk about Melee a bit. Just as far as the formats in general, you've played plenty of Joust, I assume, in Melee. Do you believe that that Melee is an exhilarating format? Do you think there's any problems with it?
I think Melee is really a lot of fun. I definitely don't think it's for everybody, honestly. There's a lot of kind of BS that can go into Melee. Sometimes you're putting really crappy decisions. Sometimes you gotta stab your friends in the back. Sometimes it's just crappy.
Yeah.
But it is fun. It is fun. It's in the spirit of the books, which I really enjoy. And I kind of like that aspect. I actually don't get to play a whole lot of Melee. I don't have a meta here in Indianapolis myself. I have two friends who play down south who literally have the core set, grade 2A box, and 3 chapter packs.
Nice.
So it's like if I go down there, I bring all the decks. But I think Melee has its place. I think it needs, I was talking with Greg Atkinson today about how they need to do the table setups by pure Swiss.
Make it Swiss, yeah.
Instead of doing it how they currently do it with random pairings. Because I think you'll get a more honest result.
Yeah.
I did pretty well here today. I went second in my first table, first in my next two, and then, obviously first in my last two tables in the finals. But if we were doing pure Swiss, I'm not sure that would have been the result.
Sure.
So I can't complain, but I think in terms of a competitive format, that's really where you got to take it.
So what do you make of, you went through a ton of Melee rounds, there was a lot of table talk, there's been players talking here back and forth about collusion, and there's this new no collusion rule in the fantasy fight. What do you make of table talk as far as Melee, the Melee format? Is it good? Is it too much?
Table talk's what makes Melee to me. Last year I played in the Melee, and my first game I sat down at a table with Corey Faraday, who's the world champion last year, and he managed to completely dupe me. He convinced me, talking not even to me, but to the rest of the table, he said, you guys got to look out. This guy could win this turn if he triggers his Rhaenys' Hill, which made me think, maybe I should do that. Which in the end was a terrible decision. I wound up at 14 power. I became the international bank of power for everybody else at the board, and wound up placing fourth at that table. But that's the game. Today I had several really great moments where I convinced somebody to nightmare somebody else's maester and drop the chains off. Which if I hadn't been talking up what a threat Morgan was the entire game and trying to get somebody to do something against her, the game would have gone completely differently. So I think table talk is really what makes the format. Collusion, to a certain extent, it's hard when you sit across the table from somebody you got to make tough decisions. Like, I love this guy, I play with this guy all the time, but I got to do what's best for me and best for the game as we're playing it. It's rough.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes that just happens. I sat at several tables with several friends today, and it was like, the game is what the game is. You take it for what's right in front of you, and you leave it all on the table, and that's about it.
Nice. That's a good attitude to have for sure. What do you think is any matchups in this melee, especially in the later rounds, that you were really fearing? Is there any deck out there that you were just worried about?
Morgan's deck. She was playing Greyjoy Maesters, and it's Greyjoy Maesters, and it uses the Horned Dragons to steal your characters, and then Dubious Loyalties to steal your characters too. Mm-hmm. And so, a deck like that, she could go for 4 power, and then oops, I stole 2 characters and I won.
Yeah,
that happened.
Yeah.
And that was what just terrified me. Playing a deck where, I've got a whole bunch of renown, I'm accruing a bunch of power on my characters to try and win. And the other thing I was scared of was Corset Mel, which I did run into. And if I hadn't been lucky to be playing with a Stark player who flipped Mirror Reed, Adrian saved my tail end, got me first at the table, put me in the finals.
Wow, nice.
And that's how we got there.
Nice.
But Melee is one of those things where you never know what to expect, but you can make a rough idea of what you're going to find.
So finish it on out here. What would you say is, if you could give advice to players trying to get better at Melee, trying to get where you are right now, what is it that you would say is the number one thing to focus on, to do?
Pay attention to the titles. The titles make everything. I wouldn't have won that last game if I had not picked the right title that opposed the right guy to get the extra power, and to make sure that the right people couldn't attack me. It can get really complicated with the new cards, with Marcella and the new Varus and stuff. It can get a lot more complicated, but really, titles and table talk are what make Melee what it is. So, learn how to read people, pay really close attention to your titles, and be a little bit deceptive without being an asshole.
Great advice, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Congrats again.
Thank you.